Hey there, word wizards. Today we're diving into the magical world of alliteration. It's when a sentence rolls off the tongue, sounding musical. That's alliteration at work. Let's go. Simply put, alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sound at the beginning of words that are close together. It's like a mini echo in a sentence, but instead of repeating the whole word, we're just repeating the first sound. Think of it like this. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. See how the P sound pops up again and again? That's alliteration in action. It's not just about the letter itself, but the sound it makes. Alliteration isn't just about sounding fancy. It actually has a real impact on how we understand and remember language. Think about it. Which is more memorable? She sells pumpkins by the roadside, or she sells seashells by the seashore? That repetition of the S sound does more than just sound nice. It creates a rhythm, a flow that pulls us in and makes the phrase stick in our minds. It's like a mental sticky note for language. Chapter 4. More alliteration awesomeness. Alliteration can also add a touch of humor to a sentence. Take, for instance, Fred's friends fried Fritos for Friday's food. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but the F sound repetition gives it a light-hearted feel. And we can't forget the classic tongue twister. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? The repeated W sound makes it a challenge to say, but that's part of the fun. Chapter 5. Alliteration in Literature. Shakespeare loved it. Alliteration isn't just for kids' books and tongue twisters. It's a powerful tool used by some of the greatest writers in history. Shakespeare, for example, was a master of alliteration. In Romeo and Juliet, he writes, "From forth the fatal loins of these two foes." The repetition of the F sound emphasizes the drama and tragedy of the situation. Chapter 6. Sailing the Seas of Sound with Coleridge. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, another literary giant, used alliteration to create a sense of movement and rhythm in his poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. He writes, "The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free." The repetition of the F sound mimics the sound of the wind and waves, drawing us into the poem's world. Edgar Allan Poe, the master of the macabre, used alliteration to create a dark and eerie atmosphere in his poems. In The Raven he writes, "Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary." The repetition of the W sound creates a sense of heaviness and despair, setting the tone for the poem. Chapter 10. Alliteration versus assonance. Spot the difference. Now let's clear up a common point of confusion, the difference between alliteration and assonance. Both involve repetition of sounds, but alliteration is all about those beginning consonant sounds, while assonance focuses on vowel sounds. Think of the phrase, "The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain." The repetition of the AI sound is assonance. Those vowels are having a moment. Chapter 9. Using alliteration in your writing. Alliteration can make your writing more engaging and memorable. Try using it to emphasize key points or to create a rhythm in your sentences. For example, "In a hurry he hollered for help" is more memorable than "In a rush he cried out for help." Experiment with different sounds and see how they change the feel of your writing. Happy writing!